Now, this is going to be a short overview of a power supply that I used recently in one of my builds for review. That was NZXT H5 Flow RGB 2024. And basically right here we have the NZXT C1200 GOLD ATX 3.1, which is fully modular power supply that comes in black and white color. Now, what you get with this power supply is an impressive 10-year warranty, I have to mention that, 12V 2x6 cable that delivers up to 600 watts of power. Also high efficiency with the power supply being rated at 80 plus gold. We have cybernetics gold as well, certification, and cybernetics A minus noise level. Now, efficiency at 50% load is rated above 91%, which is quite solid. And for the cybernetics A minus noise level certificate, we have 135 millimeter fluid dynamic bearing fan with zero fan mode, which means that it doesn't spin at all until it reaches 50% load, basically giving us nice and quiet operation until that 50% threshold. Now the fan dimensions are 135 times 135 times 25 and spins at 2300 RPMs plus minus 10% with the airflow at 93.02 CFM and the noise level, now this is interesting, and noise level at maximum speed at 44.5 decibels. Now that is a bit too much, I do have to say, for a silent fan, but in my experience while using that power supply in that build I mentioned, I didn't hear it. So the power supply in that sense wasn't heard whatsoever, and I was pushing that build for the benchmark, so you can understand why I'm saying I didn't hear it whatsoever. Now, talking about protections, we have over and under voltage protection, which we have short circuit protection, over temperature, over power, and over current protection. Dimensions of the power supply are quite smaller when taking into consideration the actual wattage. So 1200 watts, you usually would expect a bit larger power supply, but we're talking here about 150 times 160 times 86. And for the cables, as I mentioned earlier, we have here fully modular power supply. With these cables now, we have one 24 pin, we have one 4 plus 4 pin, and one 8 pin for the CPU, three 6 plus 2 pin for PCIe, then 16 pin 12 plus 4 12 watts 2 times 6 PCI Express cable, and 12 SATA and 4 Molex, or as they call it, peripheral cables. Now, for most of you, the cable length isn't important because they wouldn't be, I don't know, producing this type of power supply with this type of cables and creating shorter cables, and you can't use them in their H6 or H7 or whatever the case they have. So there's another thing, and I'll show you right now because, well, I do have to admit the packaging is quite great, and when if you're packing everything back in the box, you won't have any problems. Usually you do. So let's see this. So I'm just going to take the first cable because, well, let me just see the 24 pin if I can find it quickly. Well, basically it doesn't really matter because this is the scenario what we get. They are all nylon sleeved except for the SATA and Molex, and you get this type of cable, right? It's really stiff. I do have to admit, it's really stiff, the cable, and the top part is flexible. And then you have this finish, which I think one cable has even a zip tie over here, but majority of them don't. And this is a heat shrink rubber tubing, which I think this is for usually for isolation. If you connect two cables or something similar to that, they use this to group the cables. And honestly, when you take into consideration NZXT and their minimalistic design, I would definitely suggest if they went with flat cables. And we saw a couple of other power supplies that actually have those. They're fully flexible and they even look quite nice. I mean, even now the power supplies come with some nicely sleeved or braided cables that even have cable coms inside the box already. So you just put the cable coms on the cables and you don't even have to buy additional custom sleeved cables. For this one, when taking NZXT in general, all their products, they're always aiming for that minimalistic look, minimalistic design. And I know the majority of people are actually digging that clean look on all of their products. So why go with these type of cables? The power supply looks cool. I know it's not visible or anything in that sense, but it looks cool. It's quite minimalistic. It doesn't have, I don't know, it just looks nice, okay? But the cables which will be visible if you're not going with a back connect, go with custom sleeve. Just order some custom sleeve cables or find some extensions that are from 30 to 70 euros dollars, and you'll be quite solid. And because of that, I'll place the link. You have them in the description. You can check out cable mod extension cables, which would definitely, pimp up the whole build. If you go with full NZXT build and you want to have everything minimalistic and everything clean, nice, and all that other stuff, just grab yourself some extensions or full sleeve cables, and they'll accompany this power supply perfectly. The price tag of this one can be found from 170 to 200 euros or $200. And I think that is really solid comparing to others that would most likely range, I think, above $200 euros. So I think this is quite solidly priced in that sense. And all in all, what I can say is we have a solid power supply, clean design, great efficiency, modular, dedicated 12V 2x6 cable for up to 600 watts, and just those cables. I mean, honestly, go with custom sleeved if you have that extra budget. I mean, if you go with 1200 watts, you're most likely going with a higher end build, and you can find somewhere those 30 to $70 just to make the whole build look nice. And that will be all for today, guys. Just as I stated, a bit of an overview, but we have a build coming up quite shortly with loads of their products, and I think that's going to be quite cool again to see their products again on the channel. And in the meantime, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, click the notification bell, and see you quite soon. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.